Hi guys, it's Colette. Welcome back to my channel, and I thought I'd do a wee reading from my book Fortune Killer today by Colette Brown. That's me. And I have to say that it might not make much sense, but I'm using it as maybe a sort of basis for a discussion later on. Basically, Fortune Killer is about a washed up psychic clairvoyant who's been a stage clairvoyant who turns and decides to go after all the people that have been against her in life and be a murderer, and the last person who she's going to go for is First Minister of Scotland. It's obviously based in Scotland because I'm Scottish, and that's what I know. This chapter 12 is called Faith and Lust. The clairvoyant is called Faith. It's written by her husband, who's in spirit world. So it's the way he's presenting it. The two other people that are in it are Faith's two spirit guides, which are funny, and I hope that you can enjoy when I tell you who they are, because I found them really funny to work with. One was Fred Astaire, and the main one who's talking mainly in this chapter is Johnny Cash. So, but when I was writing the Johnny Cash stuff, excuse me, I feel as though I got to know him, which was the oddest thing to say, but I was channeling him as a spirit guide for Faith while getting little insights into his character when he was here. So this is a chapter where Johnny Cash, as a spirit guide, is trying to explain to Faith that she really needs to stop the murdering, or she won't get to see the supreme being, who is called the SB. That's not anything else but supreme being. Okay, that's so taking that context, that Johnny Cash is trying to get her to not do the killing, because he knows she's got free will, but he knows that he can maybe help her make decisions. So we have it written by her husband in spirit, and the people involved are Faith herself and Johnny Cash and Fred Astaire. And I had one of the best times writing this book ever. So let's see what we're getting. I don't want to block the mic. Right, chapter 12, Faith and Lust. Although I'm not in the same level as Johnny and Fred, I've come to see them as friends now. It was hard initially, especially with Fred, as he wasn't the easiest of people to connect with. Oh, I know you're thinking, what, that cheeky chappie who whirled Ginger Rogers around the dance floor and had such a grace and elegance? Well, it's fair to say that Fred wasn't as pleasant as he made himself out to be. I'd heard a rumour that Ginger Rogers was worried at her end that Fred would appear and take her over the spirit bridge and demand she danced with him. I think she would have preferred damnation to having to dance with Mr. Perfectionist again. My mum always said that Jean Kelly was a better dancer, and I believe she was right. Yet I wouldn't have told Fred that in case he became moody and tapped away. I needed him because he was a great balance for Johnny, who could be quite grim in his thoughts even though he was happy to be here. I felt that Johnny would make a level 5 one day. He really was that good. Johnny, the man in black Cash, certainly had lived a full life, and he believed that the SB, even though he called him Jesus back then rather than SB. I know now that SB goes by many names, and I wonder why she did that, because it caused an awful lot worse. The SB is the SB, a rose is a rose by any other name. I'd become used to Fred and his incessant tapping. It took a bit of getting used to when Johnny joined Fred as Faith's other spirit guide. There was quite a bit of rivalry between them. Sometimes I was caught in the middle trying to appease them both. I'll move this further up, bear with me. There we go. So, Fred, buddy, come along here and sit with me and we can share a beer and see how to work together. Johnny sat on the old tree stump in Faith's garden and opened a beer. Oh, I know that spirits don't really eat and drink physical food, but just imagine a kind of Star Trek-y thing where they can manifest what they want and experience it, albeit in a way that you wouldn't understand. He offered it to Fred. Tap, 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 tap. Buddy? Tap, 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 tap. Oh, come on, bud, we need to work together here. We're not so different. Tap, 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 tap. Feck off, Fred. I think Faith preferred Fred to Johnny, and I think I know why. Fred brightened up her days. He was always ready to dance, do a coin trick, or smile a Hollywood smile. He never really criticised her or told her off. He just let her be, and she let him come and go as he wished. Johnny was more intense and had a more openly doer persona. He knew spirit guides weren't really meant to interfere or direct someone. Humans have free will after all, but he felt a sense of conscience and he wished he could save Faith the way that SB had saved him. There did seem to be rules for spirit guides, and they didn't seem able to do much apart from pass on clairvoyant information and messages from spirit land, with maybe a wee touch of guidance in there somewhere. I've heard rumours of rogue spirit guides who interfered with free will and went straight down to level 3 quicker than you could say Adam and Eve. It seems that Marilyn Monroe once promised to show a dresser on Madonna's Material Girl video what she wore in bed, meaning nothing but Chanel No. 5. All he had to do was slash the pink dress that Madonna was going to wear as a nod to Marilyn's Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend song. Marilyn didn't think Madonna was worthy and persuaded the besotted man that he would be doing her a big favour. He was seconds away from doing the damage when a level 5 guide stepped in dressed as Darth Vader and frightened him off. The poor bee has been in therapy ever since. Marilyn wasn't demoted to level 3 though, as the SB has a soft spot for her, but she made the point of assigning her to Sylvester Stallone's mum Jackie to help guide her with psychic buttock readings. Humiliation or what? Stephen, buddy, come sit with me and watch the sunset. I always love the sunset. It's time when God is closer. Time before you go upstairs to your woman if you're lucky enough to have one. My darling June is here too now, you know. Well, not here, level 3 actually. Happy to be with her family and the chance to chill singing to the SB. It's good to see her happy. We went through a lot together and I didn't last long after she died. 35 years is a long time with someone. I was useless without her. I love that woman with all my heart. You love Faith, I know you do. Hell, I kind of like her too. Wouldn't get in her bad side though. You need to ask yourself something though. Is she worth damnation? Do you think she loves you at all? This plan of yours to stick with her through hell and high water would be okay if she felt the same. But she doesn't, bud. She really doesn't. I wanted to be a guide right from the moment I saw June was doing okay and was happy. All that sitting around gazing at stuff isn't for me, but I needed action and to feel alive again. I wanted to feel like the old me, not the old cripple I'd become. And I wanted to visit Scotland because my great-great-granddaddy was Scottish, so I checked out the availables in the area and I saw this clairvoyant lady who did those tarot card readings for famous folk and I thought, maybe. Then while I scanned the place, I saw a sign for the Glasgow Grand Old Opry and I knew that I'd found my calling. I'd planned to work with Faith while spending my time off watching folks singing country songs and having fun. Do you know that they do even have gunslingers at the Opry? Yeah, they do. Fire blanks at balloons to see who's the fastest draw, and some of them are pretty damn fast too. Faith was my way back to country music via Glasgow's own Grand Old Opry. I just wish they didn't sing A Man Called Sue so damn often. I just wish they didn't sing A Man Called Sue so damn often. Just think about what I say, Stevie. She's poison. You don't have to follow her into the ring of fire. A few days later, Faith was sitting up in bed, reading a copy of the Daily Record and silently fuming at the story about the First Minister and his wife. They'd been opening a sports centre in a deprived area and had the look of the Clintons visiting Harlem. I don't know why she continually read about them, as it only made her unhappy and settled. I was sitting on the bed next to her like a good husband, and Johnny was slouched against the wall on the other side. He was gently strumming his guitar and humming one of his old tunes. Fred was standing still for once at the foot of the bed. He looked quite good-looking in all-white top hat and tails with a white cane edged with silver. He knew he looked rather handsome and stood leaning on the cane with a laissez-faire attitude that drove Faith insane. We must have looked a right weird bunch, and I had to put my hand in my mouth to stop laughing. That would be my spirit hand and my spirit mouth, obviously. Johnny strummed and lifted his head towards Faith. Peggy, darling, don't you call me that, you old fart. My name's Faith. You know I won't answer to Peggy, but you just did. Well, I won't in the future, so just quit it. And while you're at it, stop strumming that bloody guitar. Jesus, Fred stops dancing for a moment and you pipe up. Then you stop and he starts tap, tap, tap. No wonder I'm demented. And Stephen, don't just even think of adding your tuppence worth. Obviously, the article had rattled her more than usual. I decided to keep my counsel and let the higher guides try to reason with her. Faith, darling, now I know you've done some killing and you're heading down the way, but there might be some redemption if you stop now. I know you want to hurt that Darcy fellow, but what happened between you and him is a long time ago, and his wife and kids certainly don't need the hurt. So what do you say we just stop all this now? You go back to being a fortune teller and use the rest of your life to make amends. First, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm a psychic, clairvoyant tarot reader. Second, who the hell are you to give me advice? A washed-up old singer from the 60s, out of date and irrelevant. Well, you know, Faith, I am not irrelevant. Some of my songs have stood the test of time. Your mum used to sing 40 Shades of Green at New Year parties when she was drunk. Walk the Line is still a favourite on country music radio. And what about Man in Black? Its message is still relevant today as back then. So no, I'm not irrelevant, darling. But this isn't about me. It's about you. No, it isn't, Johnny. I'm just fine. No need for heavenly interference from you two lower level guys who can't get past their own pass. I mean, look at you both. What the F did I do to deserve you both? Other clairvoyants get angels or even Native American guides. Now stop just there, darling. Don't you put down those Native American guides or wish for an angel instead. Those Indian boys have been through a lot and have some great sayings to pass on. Angels are great, but don't feed their egos by putting them above others either. Just remember that Lucifer was an angel before he was the devil. It takes all sorts to make a universe, you know. All I'm saying is that the Supreme Being, as you call him, must have known I was going to turn out bad, as I didn't even merit a higher guide than level 4, as you call it. No, I didn't even have one until later on in my career. Then I got 2. And who would believe me if I said my guides were Johnny Cash and Fred Astaire? I may as well have signed myself into Daniel's mental health facility, just in case you go all PC on me next. Just shut the feck up and let me go to sleep. Go to sleep? We'll just join you in dream time. No, you can't escape, you know. While I've been assigned to you, I will try my best to stop you ruining your life. Johnny, I'm a murderer. I've already ruined my life. So I may as well keep going and enjoy some recreational retribution. You can sing all you like and he can dance all he likes, but I'm not savable. I have stuff to do tomorrow, so get lost now. I don't think Faith was very happy when we all turned up in her dream an hour later. It was embarrassing for me as her husband to find Daniel Craig about to drop some tiny swimming trunks and join her in bed. Dreamtime was probably the only place where James Bond was ousted by an ageing, boring husband, though, so I quite enjoyed watching him wither in many ways. Oh, for God's sake, can't you just leave me alone? I was enjoying that. Just go away. That's me. Johnny smiled and said, I know, darling, but all that sex stuff isn't worth a bean if you have a black soul. Listen to me. Maybe if you stop killing now, you won't have to do much time in detention away from the Supreme Being. Once you've felt it, Faith, you don't want not to be able to feel it again. It hurts. So why not stop now? You might ever get caught and you can go on to all the fame you want. I'm sure you could even call in a few favours that might even get you close to Daniel Craig. That 6 degrees of separation actually works. I knew Elvis and Elvis knew everybody, so how about it? Right then, Johnny. So if I give up killing folk, you can get me a night with Daniel Craig and cut down my time in hell. Is that what you're saying? Well, darling, I was a womanizer and took pills, but I repented and I did lots of good works, and I got to be a trainee guide, so I think there might be hope. Daniel Craig will be easy, trust me. And I could ask my June and all the level 3s to pray for you and intercede, so you might just get time off for good behaviour. So, Johnny, let me look at this offer. Can you guarantee that I'd have redemption and would have a night of passion with Daniel Craig? Well, no, honey, I couldn't guarantee it, no. That would be up to the SB, but we could try. Well, no. The way I see it is I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. So I'll keep on killing until the time comes to stop. And that will be my choice. Thanks for reminding me of the 6 degrees of separation thing now, though. I know Lulu, and Lulu knows everybody, so I can get Daniel Craig myself. Bring it on. This wasn't the reply Johnny had wanted. He shook his head and mumbled something about a crazy woman as he headed back to level 4 for some respite care. Fred spun on his heel and headed out of Dreamtime and back to reality. I stayed a while, mainly to bask in the love for my passionate, quirky, bolshy Faith, and also to check that Daniel Craig didn't slip back in. Oh, that chapter was so much fun to write, and I hope that you've enjoyed me reading it too. I know I'm not the best reader. I sometimes fumble about a wee bit and lose the end of words and stuff, but I still do love reading to you, and I do think that sometimes it can bring a book alive, and as I say, that I've enjoyed writing. I mean, I'm on my 10th book now, and Fortune Killer was really my first real novel, and that didn't have any guidance through tarot or whatever, but was just basically one day I decided what do I not like, what genre do I not like, and I thought I really don't like crime fiction. And me said, right, well, okay, that's what you're going to write. And I thought, okay. So obviously it had to be quirky, it had to be funny, and why not do it with a clairvoyant and the murders be magical, and just work with the police, spirit guides. And I mean, I had no intention of having famous spirit guides, but one night I just wakened up and it was like, our spirit guide is Johnny Cash. And then the next night it was like, our spirit guide, the other one, she can have 2. Why not have 2? And then it was like Fred Astaire. I mean, the 2 most different people became spirit guides, and it starts to look into the different levels of spirit, which I'll do a video on in the next month or two, specifically from more a spiritual angle, to tell you where the different guides are, what levels they are, what level you're at, what level the supreme being or the creator is, etc. And this is only my way of seeing it and learning it from spirits that have come back. It's not anything I've seen in a book or anything, although it may well be there. I'm not saying it's not, but this is my interpretation of it, and I'll do that in the next month. So if you liked me reading you your kind of bedtime story, then give me a thumbs up and share the video if you would. And if you really liked what I was reading, then why not purchase Fortune Killer by Colette. It's on all Amazons, and it's on paperback and Kindle, and watch out for me reducing it to 99p in the Kindle, because I do that twice a year. So I loved reading to you, and I hope you enjoyed it, and many blessings. Bye now. I've got to try and find this, sorry. I'll look back up again at you, and I don't edit, so I'm going to say many blessings. Bye now.